In the era of digital technologies, humanity has encountered a new psychological phenomenon: generative anxiety. This is a state where we experience a constant fear that artificial intelligence might replace us, strip us of our uniqueness, and render our skills obsolete. Every new success of generative AI, from creating paintings to writing music, intensifies this feeling of unease. We look at the results of algorithms and ask ourselves, are humans still needed now? This is not just a fear of losing one's job, it is an existential anxiety about the place of humans in the world of the future. Generative anxiety differs from other technological fears in the depth of its impact on self-identification. When a machine creates poetry no worse than a poet, or paints pictures like an artist, we lose the sense of exclusivity of human creativity. This phenomenon is rapidly spreading along with technological development, affecting more and more people regardless of profession and age. Fear of technology is not new to humankind. In the early 19th century, English weavers, Luddites, destroyed mechanical looms, seeing in them a threat to their existence. Their despair was caused not merely by the fear of unemployment, but by a sense of losing an identity tied to a craft passed down through generations. The Industrial Revolution overturned the established world, replacing manual labor with mechanical production. People felt superfluous in the new, mechanized world. However, history has shown, technology did not destroy labor, but transformed it. New professions emerged that no one could have imagined. Similar waves of anxiety swept through with the advent of automation in the 20th century, computerization in the 80s, and the internet in the 90s. Each time, humanity adapted, finding new niches and ways to apply its talents. But generative AI presents a qualitatively different challenge. For the first time, technology encroaches not on physical labor, but on what we considered exclusively human territory: creativity and intellectual activity. When an algorithm writes poetry, paints pictures, or composes music, it invades the very core of human exceptionalism. This is not just a threat to jobs, it is a challenge to our understanding of what it means to be human. Previous technological revolutions left us with the comfort: machines can do, but they cannot create. Now this boundary is blurring. We are witnessing algorithms generate works of art indistinguishable from those created by humans. This gives rise to a deep anxiety, touching upon the very foundations of our self-perception. Generative anxiety manifests through a whole spectrum of symptoms, affecting both the psychological and physical state of a person. The first thing people notice in themselves is obsessive comparison. An artist who spent hours working on an illustration suddenly discovers that AI created something similar in seconds. A writer who spent weeks on a text sees how an algorithm generates similar material in minutes. This engenders a deep feeling of devaluation of one's own skills and talent. The fear of losing uniqueness becomes a constant companion. People in creative professions describe a feeling as if their inner voice is drowned out by a chorus of artificial imitations. Designers admit that they begin to doubt every one of their decisions, asking themselves, won't a machine do it better? Physiological manifestations are no less alarming. Insomnia, caused by constant thoughts about one's potential uselessness. A racing heartbeat when watching news about AI achievements. Headaches from continuous tension and attempts to prove one's worth. Many also note changes in behavior. Procrastination intensifies due to the fear of starting work and seeing that an algorithm will do better. Generative anxiety manifests especially acutely in specific situations. For example, when a programmer sees an AI assistant instantly correcting errors in their code, or when a musician hears a melody created by a neural network, that sounds almost like their own, but with nuances they hadn't thought of themselves. Social symptoms are also widespread. Isolation from colleagues due to an unwillingness to discuss their fears. Aggressive denial of the value of AI technologies. Or, conversely, excessive enthusiasm for them in an attempt to stay one step ahead. Some resort to self-sabotage, deliberately limiting their creative potential to avoid comparison with a machine. The labor market is on the verge of an unprecedented transformation. Artificial intelligence no longer just automates routine tasks. It creates what was once considered an exclusively human prerogative. Which professions are most at risk? Creative specialties were the first to come under attack. Neural networks generate images indistinguishable from the works of professional illustrators. Writers and journalists see how algorithms create coherent texts that practically require no editing. According to research by Oxford University, about 70% of creative tasks can be partially or fully automated in the next 5 years. The music industry has encountered algorithms capable of not only imitating the styles of famous composers, but also creating original works. Analytical professions have also proven vulnerable. Financial analysts, lawyers, programmers. They all observe how AI handles tasks that previously required years of training and practice. Machine learning systems analyze legal precedents faster than experienced lawyers, and generative models write code more efficiently than many developers. Even medical diagnostics, once considered impregnable to automation, are gradually being conquered by algorithms. A study by McKinsey & Company predicts that by 2030, about a third of all jobs will require significant re-evaluation or disappear entirely. The situation for entry-level specialists looks particularly alarming. The traditional path of professional growth through performing basic tasks is under threat. These are precisely the tasks most easily automated. How does one enter a profession if artificial intelligence is distributing the entry tickets? However, not all areas are equally vulnerable. Professions requiring high emotional intelligence, physical interaction with the world, or unconventional thinking in unpredictable situations currently remain predominantly human territory. Teachers, nurses, psychotherapists, social workers, everyone whose work is built on deep human contact retains a competitive advantage. However, the boundaries of this safe zone are constantly narrowing. Why are we so afraid of artificial intelligence? What makes us anxious at the thought of machines capable of creation? The roots of this fear go deep into our evolutionary history. The human brain is programmed to be wary of the unknown. It's a survival mechanism honed over millennia. Artificial intelligence, with its unpredictable potential, activates the same ancient danger signals that a rustle in the bushes did for our ancestors. We cannot fully understand how the black box of neural networks works, and this uncertainty generates anxiety. Psychologists call this phenomenon uncertainty anxiety, a state where we cannot predict the consequences and therefore prepare for the worst. Our mind prefers a known threat to an unknown possibility. A second fundamental mechanism is related to self-identification through labor. For millennia, humanity has defined itself through its ability to create and transform the world. I create, therefore I am, is an unwritten law of human psychology. When an algorithm creates a work of art in seconds, it undermines the very foundation of our self-esteem. We suddenly find ourselves in a world where the unique human gift of creativity becomes a mass commodity. The third psychological mechanism is the fear of losing control. Humans have evolved as beings striving to control their environment. Technologies capable of making decisions without our involvement cause deep discomfort. We are afraid not just of losing our jobs, we are afraid of losing authorship over our own destiny. These fears are amplified by the concept of technological uncertainty. Unlike previous technological revolutions, We cannot clearly imagine what the world will look like after the widespread implementation of generative AI. This inability to visualize the future gives rise to existential anxiety, the feeling that we are losing not just a profession, but our place in the universe. Media and mass culture play a decisive role in shaping our perception of artificial intelligence. For decades, science fiction has painted apocalyptic scenarios where machines rise against their creators. From Terminator to The Matrix, from I, Robot to Ex Machina, the cultural landscape is overflowing with stories of technology running out of control. These narratives are deeply ingrained in the collective unconscious, shaping our perception of AI long before we encountered real generative algorithms. Modern media amplifies this anxiety through sensational headlines. Artificial intelligence will destroy 5 million jobs. Neural networks write books better than humans. AI artists are displacing designers. We see such formulations daily. Even when the articles themselves contain a more nuanced view, the screaming headlines stick in the memory, reinforcing the feeling of an impending catastrophe. Social networks have become an ideal catalyst for the spread of generative anxiety. Viral posts about artists losing commissions due to neural networks, or writers discovering plagiarism of their works in AI training data, spread like wildfire. Social media algorithms prioritize emotionally charged content, creating echo chambers of fear and resentment. Particularly alarming is the effect created by AI success stories presented out of context. When we see the impressive results of a neural network's work without understanding the limitations and human input behind these achievements, a distorted perception of the omnipotence of algorithms arises. We don't see the thousands of failed attempts, the millions of hours of human labor invested in creating and training models, the ethical dilemmas, and the technical limitations. Within professional communities, a peculiar culture of shame for using AI tools is forming. Designers don't admit to using generative models. Writers hide the use of text assistants. This creates a distorted perception that real professionals should work exclusively manually, widening the gap between public condemnation and private application of technologies. The world of generative AI is shrouded in myths no less than in real possibilities. Let's draw a line between science fiction and technological reality. The first and most common myth: artificial intelligence possesses consciousness and an understanding of what it creates. This is a fundamental misconception. Modern neural networks are complex statistical models that process vast amounts of data and find patterns within them. They do not understand the meaning of words, do not experience emotions, and have no intentions. When AI writes a poem, it does not experience inspiration. It predicts which words are most likely to follow previous ones, based on millions of texts it has read. The technical limitations of modern systems remain significant. AI suffers from hallucinations, generating convincingly sounding but factually incorrect information. It is incapable of genuine critical thinking and cannot go beyond the data it was trained on. Ethical issues also pose barriers to the complete replacement of humans. Algorithms inherit and even amplify the biases contained in the training data. Who is responsible for decisions made by artificial intelligence? This question remains open. Regulatory mechanisms are only just forming, but many countries are already introducing restrictions on the use of AI in critically important areas. The key difference between human and machine creativity lies in the realm of intentionality. A human creates a work with a specific design, investing personal experience, emotions, and worldview into it. Behind every human creation lies a life story, cultural context, a unique perspective on the world. AI can imitate style, but it cannot bring genuine novelty based on life experience, which it does not possess. Human creativity is inseparable from the creator's life path. their joys and sufferings, their unique perception of the world. This is what machines can simulate but cannot truly embody. What does science say about the phenomenon of generative anxiety? Researchers are only just beginning to study this new psychological phenomenon, but the first significant data are already emerging. According to a survey conducted by Stanford University among 2,000 creative professionals, about 60% of respondents reported a significant decrease in confidence in their abilities after becoming familiar with the capabilities of generative AI. The results in the age group from 25 to 40 years old, a period of active professional development, are particularly indicative. Psychologists from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology conducted a series of experiments in which participants were shown works created by humans and neural networks, without disclosing authorship. After the subjects were revealed which works were created by AI, their self-esteem of their own skills decreased by an average of 32%. Longitudinal studies, initiated in 2021, show the formation of a stable link between the intensity of using generative technologies and the level of professional anxiety. Neurophysiologists record the activation of the same brain areas that are responsible for the reaction to social rejection when people compare their work with the results of AI. This confirms the hypothesis that generative anxiety is not just a fear of losing one's job, but a deeper experience of a threat to social identity. The methodology for studying this phenomenon is constantly being improved. Researchers are developing specialized questionnaires to measure the level of generative anxiety, distinguishing it from general technophobia or simple fear of unemployment. New experimental paradigms are emerging that allow studying the influence of AI on creative productivity in controlled conditions. Data on differences in the perception of AI between generations are particularly interesting. Contrary to popular belief, young people who grew up in the digital age demonstrate a higher level of generative anxiety than older generations. A possible explanation: for them, self-identification through creativity and intellectual achievements plays a more significant role in personality formation. In the era of rapid artificial intelligence development, we need to rethink the very concept of human value. What makes us indispensable? What is our unique quality that even the most perfect algorithm cannot reproduce? The answer lies in what we call the human touch, an elusive quality that cannot be algorithmicized. Emotional intelligence and empathy remain our main advantage. A machine can simulate sympathy, but it cannot truly experience it. It does not know what it is like to lose a loved one, the joy of overcoming personal difficulties, or the quiet happiness of watching a sunset. Behind every human decision lies a unique life experience, an inimitable mosaic of experiences that shapes our worldview. Philosophers speak of the non-algorithmic residue, that part of human existence which is fundamentally beyond formalization. This is our ability to find meaning in absurdity, to see beauty in imperfection, to create value from the chaos of existence. A machine can write a technically perfect poem, but it does not know why it should write it. The new era demands from us the development of forms of creativity that emphasize the uniquely human experience. Art becomes not so much a demonstration of technical skill as an expression of the authenticity of experience. Value is acquired not by the ideal result, but by the imperfect, yet honest process of its creation. Artists experiment with forms inaccessible to machine reproduction: participatory art, performative practices, creativity based on physical interaction with material. Writers address themes requiring deep personal experience and moral reflection. Musicians explore improvisation and spontaneity, which are beyond algorithmic predictability. Perhaps the main adaptive advantage of humans is the ability for metacognition. We can recognize the limits of our own understanding and go beyond them.
We are capable of asking questions about the meaning of our own existence, about values and goals that we ourselves create. This recursive capacity for self-knowledge and self-transformation remains inaccessible to artificial intelligence. When anxiety about the future with artificial intelligence becomes overwhelming, it's important to have practical tools to manage these emotions. Modern psychology offers effective techniques that help cope with generative anxiety in everyday life. Cognitive behavioral therapy is becoming one of the most effective approaches. Its main principle is to identify and change irrational thoughts that fuel our anxiety. Start by pinpointing anxious thoughts. When you notice worry about being replaced by AI, write down the specific thought. A neural network will create an illustration faster and better than me. Then, check this thought against reality. Is the algorithm truly capable of bringing your unique experience and vision to the work? Replace the catastrophic thought with a more balanced one. AI can create images, but it cannot bring my life experience and emotional depth. Mindfulness practices help you return to the present moment when anxiety about the future becomes too strong. A 5-minute meditation, during which you focus on your breath, can significantly reduce stress levels. The 5 senses technique is particularly effective during acute anxiety attacks. Note 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you hear, 2 smells, and 1 taste. This instantly brings you back to your body and interrupts the flow of anxious thoughts. Journaling practices become a powerful tool for working with emotions. Dedicate 10 minutes daily to writing down your thoughts and feelings about the changing world. It's especially useful to keep an achievement diary, where you record the unique aspects of your work that AI cannot replicate. This creates a bank of evidence of your value that you can refer to in moments of doubt. What if, instead of viewing artificial intelligence as a rival, we begin to see it as a partner? This paradigm shift from competition to collaboration could be the key to overcoming generative anxiety. The concept of collaborative intelligence offers a new perspective on human-machine interaction, where each side brings its unique strengths. Artist Rafiq Anadol creates stunning installations by using neural networks to process millions of images. But it is his artistic vision and conceptual thinking that transform algorithmic data into works of art that touch the hearts of viewers. He does not compete with AI, but rather directs its capabilities toward his creative intent. Writer Janelle Shane uses language models as a source of unexpected ideas and surreal combinations, which she then reinterprets through the lens of her own experience. The result is unique works, impossible without this symbiosis of human and machine imagination. Architects from Zaha Hadid Architects apply generative algorithms to create forms that the human mind might not envision. But the final decisions always rest with professionals who consider human needs and the emotional perception of space. In all these examples, AI acts not as a replacement, but as an amplifier of human capabilities, a tool that expands the boundaries of creativity. Musicians use algorithms to generate unexpected melodic lines, which they then develop into full-fledged compositions. Doctors apply diagnostic systems as a second opinion, increasing the accuracy of their conclusions. Programmers use AI assistants to write routine code, freeing up time for solving complex architectural problems. The key principle of collaborative intelligence is the distribution of roles according to the strengths of each participant. Machines excel at processing large volumes of data, finding patterns, and performing precise, repetitive operations. Humans are indispensable in understanding context, empathy, creative insight, and moral judgments. Combining these qualities creates a symbiotic relationship where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. The future of human-AI relations is not predetermined.
We stand at a crossroads where every decision, technological, ethical, educational, shapes the world in which subsequent generations will live. Which path will we choose? The path of rivalry, where humans and machines battle for dominance, or the path of cooperation, where technology becomes an extension of human capabilities? The balance between technological progress and psychological well-being requires a conscious approach. Educational systems must transform, focusing not on memorizing easily accessible information, but on developing uniquely human qualities, creativity, emotional intelligence, critical thinking. Schools and universities are already experimenting with programs where students learn to collaborate effectively with AI, understanding its capabilities and limitations. Psychological support becomes a necessary component of adapting to the new reality. Corporations are beginning to implement employee assistance programs specifically aimed at addressing generative anxiety. Specialized therapeutic approaches are emerging for people whose professional identity has been threatened. Public dialogue about the role of technology must move beyond simplistic for or against dichotomies. We need to create space for nuanced discussion, where both potential risks and opportunities are acknowledged. Technological determinism, the idea that technological development is inevitable and beyond human control, is a dangerous illusion. We can and must direct technological development in accordance with our values and needs. History shows that humanity possesses an astonishing capacity for adaptation. We have weathered technological revolutions, preserving our essence and finding new ways to realize ourselves. Generative AI is neither the first nor the last challenge to our ability to redefine ourselves in a changing world. Perhaps the main lesson we should learn from encountering artificial intelligence is a deeper understanding of what it means to be human. In the mirror that machines hold up to us, we can see not only our limitations, but also the unique qualities that make us indispensable.